the dinging has kind of stopped. So welcome everyone to our Q3 ELO grant management call. And just like that, the whole school year is over and we're halfway of this midpoint of this of the ELO grant competition. So thanks for all of you who are able to join us live today. Yay, it's summertime, so that means a little bit of a slowdown, hopefully for most of you, or maybe it's a different kind of busy with summer school. So in the chat, if y'all can share your name and which either organization or school we're with, and then your role in the ELO project and your favorite summer activity. So we'll give everybody some time to do that. And hello to whoever just joined us. Make sure I'm sharing the right thing. Yep. We are having y'all drop your name and which school or organization you're with, your role in your ELO project, and then your favorite summer activity in the chat. So we can see who kind of to take a roll call as well. So we have Nicole with in Omaha, right? Or no? It went away. It went away really quick. Her favorite activity is making s'mores. Yummy. Mariella from the NDE. She has a cabin. Matt Tackett from Lincoln. He is the budget coordinator. Megan from Spring Creek and the grant lead. And she likes pretty much everything outside. I hear you. And then Jolene from UNMC. She's the evaluation team. She likes tennis. Bobby from Bayard, being outside. I know. I just love being outside. It's such a mental booster. It makes me feel better. Stacy is with after school in Columbus. Sarah is also with Columbus. They have a cabin. Ooh, in South Dakota. It's just probably getting just barely warm enough to be outside or to be at the cabin up there or in the water. Kearney Public Schools, outdoor time with her family is Megan Brooke from Lincoln CCLC, and she also likes this. There's definitely a spending time in the outside. So welcome y'all. And then Katie also from Lincoln outdoor time, and then Rebecca from NDE, our GMS expert. Yay, she's gonna walk us through in a little bit some any edits to your GMS applications. So that's an important part. I went over this the first time, but we've had a little bit of a change, so I'm just going to update everybody. So for the most part, I'm Jessie. I'm the whole child director. I work on a variety of different projects from the Office of Coordinated Student Support Services. Previously, we had Liz Ham, who was helping with our family and community engagement. She had a baby and chose to stay home with her little gal, so that's exciting for her. And then basically, again, with some of the federal funding cuts and whatnot, we aren't going to be replacing her, but we will be sort of dividing and conquering. So I will be taking on some of the family and community engagement support for ELO projects. Erica will take on some for the CCLC, and then we're still working out the rest of it for the rest of the office and the agency. Mariella is still, going to be our director of program and partnerships, and will help you all with GMS support in our office, as well as Rebecca, who is the GMS guru specialist at the NDE, who works on 28 other federally or state funded grant programs. So if you are a business manager or have other grants from the NDE, you probably have worked with Rebecca. And then Erica, who is the director of CCLC programs, she is on vacation, but she will also be here for support as needed. So just a refresher, these are our sites that we have participating in the ELO grant for the 24-26 grant project that runs through June 30th through next year, unless you're Kearney and you're ending your project this year. Carney, if that has changed for whatever reason, please let us know. So those are the different groups. And then I bring this up not because you need to look at it, but mainly so it was in the slide deck. As we share this on with those in your building who might not have been on the call. But really, this is kind of to orient you back to what you said you were going to do at the beginning. And we all know how the best laid plans, how that all works out every time. Also, like unintended or unexpected federal changes occurred this January through now, really. So we know that plans sometimes change. So if the project work that you had outlined originally, and these are just a super high level overview of your project work, but if the project work has changed and your application work plan and or budget needs to change to reflect those the differences now that we're in the middle, or now that you know more or you have less funds elsewhere, then that's what Rebecca's going to talk a little bit more here about as far as what that needs to look like. But we understand, I mean, when I had a project with Farm Bureau Foundation at the midpoint, we didn't have all the changes at the federal level that we've all had, and we still had to make changes. Any questions on that up to this point? So we are at that midpoint. You hopefully have budget reports internally to see where you're at with things within the different cost categories. And then you can make some decisions about, like, say you wanted to put a lot of funds towards staff time and then that staff person left and now you don't have someone to do that. Or maybe you're using a students, whatever. And so you now want some more supplies in lieu of staffing, or however, that shakes out. Then you can do that. So within GMS, Rebecca, this is really the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to hand it over to you. But you can look at your allocation summary to see if what you have in there if that's resonating with what you still want to do or still need. And so if that doesn't look correct to you, then that's when you would need to do an amendment. So I am going to stop sharing. So Rebecca can take it away from her end.
And that might be in a little bit. Her internet went out, and so she's moving to a different conference room. So she's coming to my conference room now. So
oh, well, you know what? That works out just fine, because I told Jolene she would get to go in the first 15 minutes. So
there you go, Jolene.
We'll just go ahead. Next up, it's like in sports. Next man up, Jolene.
Hi, everyone. Jolene Johnson. I think I know most of you, but not all of you. We're the evaluation team for 21st Century Community Learning Centers, and our team has worked with a lot of you. Many of you have had ELO grants in the past where you've received snapshots and different pieces from us. That would be the same thing this year. However, I don't know if we had you submit on your rosters this year if you had ELO participation this spring. I'm looking at sites. Yeah, I don't think so. So this is the first time.
Yes, we did. We submitted ELO.
Who said that?
Brooke did. I know Lincoln submitted their ELO on the attendance.
Okay, good. So, but I'm going to check with all of the sites to make sure that happened. And if not, we will connect with you to say who on your rosters participated in your ELO programs. Especially if you had multiple sites with multiple partners. I looked at some of the applications. A lot of the community partners are serving more than one site. So we want to make sure that all of that participation and attendance is accurate so that when you get your snapshot data, that will make sense to all of you. The second piece is typically we have reached out to all of you about your program saying, yes, you'll get your snapshot data. Is there anything else that you need from the evaluation team to basically tell the story of your ELO grant in the time of funding? And I see, Jesse, you're going to cover this later about how to use their data to put together kind of their success stories, right? As you're maybe looking at different funding or anything like that. What we'll probably do is send out an email asking if you want to meet with the evaluation team about any other data that you're collecting or if you need any other support. Otherwise, the data that was being collected will just be what's through 21st Century evaluation process. And that will be the surveys that you have. So the parent, teacher, and student surveys, that will be part of that. The summer survey will be part of that. Everything else will be in your snapshots. Demographics, school day attendance, all of that will be in your ELO snapshots. Are there any questions about any of this?
Jolene, would you have, and if you don't have it open this second, but would you be able to show them what those look like? Like, I honestly don't even remember. I think we got something for our Walk to Unlock project, but I don't recall what it looked like, just so they like know what to curate.
Yeah,
either
we
data
will
or
show you your
photos for.
snapshot, but then I also think that NDE used to put together one-pagers based on the snapshot data. So that there's two different pieces. One is the snapshot, and then one was what NDE used to put together. So I can show you, and most of you are very familiar with snapshot data. You've received snapshots before, but I can share like the statewide snapshot. So you should be able to be seeing this, right? This would be like what your snapshot data looks like. This is for 23-24, and these were just sent out again to sites. And so again, here you can see what statewide attenders, this is the statewide snapshot. So yours would say the statewide ELO, and then it would have your data as well. So you can see statewide how many school year attenders we had, and then how many summer attenders were in the statewide ELOs. And that was just across the state. Again, you'll look at attendance hours, so the number of hours they had in the summer school year, out of school time. And again, you're going to be looking at where it says statewide ELO or your program ELO. You'll have that. Again, then it compares these different demographics. And this is where I think some of this could be interesting. For example, if you're looking at different funding or you're presenting to a board, you might want to say like, look at the number of students who is serving who are receiving special education services. That's significantly higher than the state average, right? That you're serving in your programs. That's an important piece of data. So these are the things I would start calling out when you're looking at different things. And then again, you'll see how the teachers rated those students. And you can see here, we had an 89% return rate for those students who are in ELOs, which is amazing. That's a very good return rate. Again, you can look at this engagement and learning. And here's the ELO statewide snapshot. For the most part, none was needed, but we saw 20% of students had significant improvement, engagement, and learning, and those were in the ELOs. So again, those are the pieces of data that you want to look for and highlight as you go through your own snapshot. And again, you'll have the statewide data to compare to. I'm not going to walk through all of these, but you see the teacher surveys. And here, sometimes people want to know how students are doing as far as behavior concerns. And so here you might want to look at some of these, ability to regulate emotions. I would look at that one. Your parent, how are parents seeing the program? Whether that's just the 21st century or the ELOs. And then your student outcomes. So, and here, if you didn't serve a certain grade level, it's not going to pop up on your ELO snapshot. So if you only served K2 students, you're not going to have 3rd through 5th grade survey results. Or if you didn't only serve through the 5th grade in your ELO, you're not going to have K2. All right, any questions on the snapshot data? So you should have all of these data after we get the attendance and everything for this next year. Questions on any of that? Right. And again, typically we give you your site snapshots. Those will come out end of July, beginning of August, as many of you know, and then you have kind of your regional meetings where you verify the data, and then ELO snapshots come out later. So we verify first your site level data, and then we'll do your ELO snapshots after that. All right.
Does anybody want to share how maybe you use your site level snapshots to help advocate for your program in any particular way, just as funding gets tighter and tighter, and we want to continue to be able to, you know, have the great opportunities that you all lead in your spaces? If you want to share anything in the chat too later, that's great. I think those folks that are new to this maybe aren't sure. I mean, I think Jolene mentioned when you take stuff to your board, Megan Crawford, who used to be in Broken Bow, she took her snapshot data along with 2 youth from her program to really bring home the value from the youth perspective to their school board. So that was pretty powerful, she said. And I think sometimes school boards are like, oh, kids are here, and what do they know about all this? And they know what, their lived experience in the program. And so they had practiced and had really prepared, and she said they did a really great job and really helped folks see the value. So that was one way. Yeah, I don't know if there's.
And I think a lot of, I mean, when I'm reading the proposals, a lot of you have a lot of partners. I think, so I'm going to pick on Collective for Youth because you guys are working with a number of partners, right? To have a lot of experiences for your students. And so really what I would want to capture out of there is, how are the students growing in that? Do you have success stories? Any photos that you have? The snapshot is kind of like your basic data, right? It's going to be your basic data, your basic numbers, and then how do you expand on that data to tell a richer story or a more comprehensive story? That's how I would kind of use your snapshot data. What are your strengths? What are your highlights? What are you working on? What do you maybe need support on? And then what other things are you collecting or you have that can really tell a big story about what your program is doing? So that's kind of how I would use this. And if there's an opportunity, we can put together some templates or some questions about how you could use the data. Happy to do that. I think we are in a time where we need to be able to show what this funding is doing and the impact of the funding. And so anything that we can kind of pull together, happy to help out with that.
Absolutely. And yeah, making sure your community partners know. Oftentimes community partner staffings, they have a lot of staffing turnover. So helping them prioritize, yes, that you do want a replacement for the person that was there before, because they provide a valuable resource to your students. And then, as many of you know, NDE has a significant focus on literacy, especially with the pre-K through 3rd grade. So if you have any internal data on literacy improvement or that matches up with what you're doing with ELO and you want to highlight that, that would definitely be something that we would love to highlight with our State Board of Education as well, just to make sure they can see the good work that you all are doing too. All right. Any questions of Jolene, anyone?
If not, you can email me or reach out to me. Many of you have my number, my email, however I can support you. I'm happy to do so.
And I will put the statewide snapshot in the folder for today when I send out the notes. So if you were not the person, like I was a secondary person on our previous project, so I didn't necessarily get that, like the most recent version of this, but I'll share that so then you all have that state level, just so you can look and see what that can offer maybe to you to align with your district level data or program data. All right, I see Rebecca's smiling face is showing up in a conference room, so we'll let her talk about what all needs to happen if you need to make some changes to your initial work plan and or budget in GMS.
Thank you. It's been a while since I've used Zoom, and sorry, internet connection in conference room 201 is lacking apparently. So I logged into our testing system, and that is can you guys all see it right now? And I am pretending to be Spring Creek Prairie Audubon Center.
Yes, we can see that.
Perfect. So if you are planning on amending your grant, I think this is really easy, but you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. You click the amend button, and then this will open your grant up so you can make changes. And QA is a little bit slow, so we're gonna just give it a moment.
And Rebecca, is this the main page that people see when they open up?
This is after they click Access Select.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the second page for them. So, and I do have Mariella with me, so she'll probably pipe up, but you should see a screen similar to this. It's your application's open. You should be able to make changes, and if it is locked, you would go to the page lock control area here and click this button and then click Save Page. And then sometimes I go to submit because I'm a little bit paranoid and I click Unlock Application. And then I'm able to go in, you'll see that warning sign is no longer there. So we are able to make changes on this. You guys have your contact information. If anything's changed on your contact information, this is actually linked with our Unified Grant Profile, which is a separate application. So you'd have to amend the Unified Grant Profile. Main areas that everyone will need to update if you are doing an amendment is amendment description. And you'll need to identify if the amendment is due to a budget readjustment, yes or no. And then we also wanted a brief description of what did you change? What tab areas did you make edits to? So then it helps the reviewer know what's going on. So this is kind of a brief description here. Ariel, anything else you want to add?
Yes, I was gonna say this is key because otherwise when I look at your amendment, I don't know what I'm looking for if it's not clearly defined here. And so if you're moving money funding from one area to another, from one bucket basically to the other, making sure that you put that in here so that we would know when I'm reviewing it, that you're switching it from salaries, let's say, to supplies or vice versa, that that's on there. So that when I look at your budget justification and your budget details, that they match up. That I know what I'm looking for. Otherwise, I'm reviewing your whole budget justification and budget details without knowing what it is that I'm looking for.
Thanks. Another key area that edits occur for budget is on the budget narrative piece. This is kind of giving a description of, this is where you put in the full notes of what you're changing here. So again, amendment description is a brief snapshot for us, and then budget narrative is where you put all the main details in. So take a look at that. And then I believe usually if you are making adjustments to your budget, you do need to upload updated spreadsheets. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, so for those, the big thing on it, again, you will be uploading your new document. So it would be your form ND04-071. So that would be your partner match if you have one. Otherwise, it would be what you're requesting the funds for. So that ND04070. These are all already up, or you can click on it, and I'm not going to do that, or can I?
You can.
Okay.
I think so. We'll find out.
Can you still see my screen? The new one.
You guys see an Excel spreadsheet being displayed?
Yes, okay. So this would be then what you would use. You would download it on your own document so that you would be able then to submit. It calculates everything for you. So this should be, I hope, much easier for you to use. So again, you would put in the function code, whatever it may be that you are transferring or that you've already said, here's where we're going to be spending our money. And so you have all of these options. There is great instructions. I will say Rebecca helped out tremendously to make sure that we had good instructions for you. And so I would say, please read those if you are having any issue with putting in all of your information then for a new budget justification. So you do need that for both the funding that you are requesting for your ELO, and in addition, your partner one, if that's changing at all. If that's not changing, you don't have to mess with that. It would just be what you are requesting your own funds to be changed to.
Cool. Thank you. And then Jesse, anything on the 2-year opportunity grant proposal, would there be anything that they would need to re-upload, or Mariella?
If you have significant changes in either staffing or like your plan, again, like if you're going to make a big shift between supplies and staffing, if you can explain, I mean, you don't need a big explanation, but if you can just upload the updated work plan as to why you're making those changes. Because like ultimately we're responsible to explain how the money is being expended and in what ways to the legislature. And so this would be able to help us obviously justify the use of the dollars and be able to advocate for those dollars in the future.
Cool. Next up with budget detail. This is another area that I see changes occur. I just wanted to highlight for the group that we do have this first table is to help you if you have submitted any reimbursements to NDE. This first line will show you how much has been submitted to NDE. So Spring Creek at this time has not submitted any, so amendments are going to be super easy. But let's pretend that they have submitted supplies reimbursement of $1,000 to supplies. On this amendment, they cannot go below that $1,000 because we already approved and paid out $1,000 in supplies. So this is kind of your way to kind of see an overall check to make sure you're not going below the amount that NDE has already paid you. So this is just kind of helpful for you to check in on that, and hopefully that doesn't happen. If you do submit it and it's below, let's pretend supplies is actually $1,000 up here, and you put $500 in your budget, Mariella and Jesse would send back your amendment saying this is not allowable. You need to adjust this to make it correct.
Can I ask a
So-
quick question? Is
Yeah.
there still a percentage that is allowable without an amendment? Like there used to be a small percentage if you went over like 1% in this category
I
and 1%
believe-
below. Do we need to,
I'll
or
have
is
to-
it,
I'll
there
have
used to be a percentage?
Yeah, I'll have to double check, but from my memory, I believe it's 25%.
That's what I think it is
2,500.
too for these dollars, yeah.
Okay.
But we can double check on that.
Okay.
Different funding streams have different rules, but
Mm-hmm.
that's
It's
what my
usually 20-25%, but every grant's different. So yeah, that clarification would be great.
Yep, so we can get you that. So again, if it's a minor adjustment, maybe you spent less than 2,500 and in one area and more in another would not cause, and it's for exactly what you wanted to, you told NDE you were spending the money. Probably amendment's not necessary, but if you change and instead of buying laptops, you're now buying pens, like $1,000 more in pens, like that could be a deviation of what you were planning on doing. So feel free to reach out to Jesse and Mariella to see where that threshold is on delivery of your program. But this is kind of, I believe this is all familiar with you guys. You can adjust these numbers up or down and hopefully it makes sense. If you do have problems and things are not saving correctly, I do recommend just deleting out the whole row and clicking save and then putting in it all over again. That kind of seems to reset the system a little bit. Anything else on the budget detail page? Okay. And then capital assets, this is a general page that we have for everyone in the state. So just be aware of these thresholds. I believe this is state money, so threshold is $5,000. So if you are buying anything with that, make sure you are filling this area of the application out. So then we are aware of what's going on. And then there's lots of rules with DAS on depreciation.
I would say for that, making sure then that if you are gonna purchase something over that 5,000 or at that 5,000, you would only be reimbursed up to that 4,999.99. So just be aware of that and make sure then that you do submit this form prior to that purchase. Otherwise, I know we've had with other 21st century work that we've done where we've had to say, no, we can't allow it because, or again, it's not going to be reimbursed because again, the submission was not done ahead of time for the approval of that purchase. So again, if you're going to be purchasing, I'm thinking of a site that bought a trailer that was $7,000 and they did not pre-request it. So we had to do a lot of hoop jumping in order to be able to cover that. But again, they were only able to get that 4,999.99. So make sure if you are going to purchase something over that, that you get pre-approval.
Jesse, anything else you want to add?
Yes, I'll just add, this is from the slide, actually probably from Jan back in the day. Other things that are not allowable would be operating or teacher costs that occur during the regular school day. So obviously you're not going to run into that at this time period, but during the rest of the school year. Capital construction, vehicle purchases, land acquisition, supplanting federal, state, or local funds, proposals for development of planning costs, direct charges for services that indirect cost rate should cover. So sometimes that's your bookkeeper or those others in your district that are helping support that. So we want those to be indirect, not direct charges. And then food when it doesn't have an educational element to it. So you can purchase food for cooking or any kind of learning activity, but not when it's going to be given out as a reward, etc. That way.
Cool. So so those are the main areas that you would update. And then once you have made all your updates, you would go to the submit tab, you would click consistency check, and this will run through your application to see if you missed anything. So oftentimes people get the error message when they didn't fill out the amendment description at all. And so it'll stop you from submission and you'll need to go back and complete that. And then once you run the consistency check, everything passes, then the person who is the authorized representative will then be able to click submit to NDE. Anyone else who is not the authorized representative will see a button that says submit to the district admin. So just remember to communicate with your district admin. Sometimes they get emails. I've been getting notifications from folks that they're not getting automatic emails, and it seems to be unique on different email platforms blocking those emails. So maybe communicate with them outside of GMS world in your regular email and say, hey, this is ready for you to review and submit. So that is how you would complete an amendment. The other thing, I haven't ran a report for expenditures yet for your guys' grants, but if you haven't done a payment request yet, since you're getting near the end of the first year, or have you guys passed the first year? I forget.
Coming
It's coming close. Okay.
Yeah, June 30th is like the official. We also started, it was a weird year because of all the with Jan being gone, etc. So they started a little bit late, but the end of the first year was still June 30th, 2025, and then the final end period is June 30th, 2026.
Okay. Well, I recommend you guys submit a payment request into us, at least for that first year, just so then you can get that off the list and have a portion of your cost already reimbursed and then focus in on that. I know we have a tendency to wait until just to submit one reimbursement at final, and then it's a little bit chaotic because you guys have the same final date as all the other 20 grants in GMS. So if you kind of send those in earlier, the better, and is helpful for our team.
Do you have an idea of the turnaround rate for those reimbursements?
So usually right now, it's 30 days unless there's problems. And then you'll be communicated with saying, hey, this is either not an eligible cost, or you did your math wrong, or you didn't check a box, or you didn't upload the correct documentation. So usually give or take 30 days. So cool. Anything else that you want me to highlight, Jesse or Mariella?
Unless any of you all that have been doing this for a while, if there's any other sticking points that you know that you run into that cause challenges or anything, if you want to, any pro tips from those of you out in the field that you want to share. The only other thing, Rebecca, and I'm going to share this, and Mariella, jump in, or one of you, about just to kind of off of Sarah's question about the review process, since we have a two-step reimbursement review process. I don't know if you want to say anything else about that.
The review process for the amendment, is that what you're talking
No,
about?
well, this is for just reimbursement.
So for reimbursement, our grant management team is actually taking care of that. And so when you are submitting your reimbursement, unless they have questions of like, are you allowing this? We don't get, I mean, it's approved. If it's already, in your plan and they can see that, they're going with it. But if they have any questions, usually it is around food or big items that are being purchased. And so other than that, we wouldn't be seeing the review of the reimbursement. Now, when it comes, if they would submit for an amendment of changing in their budget, then yes, there is a two-step. So it would come in, I would review it. I would send it then off to, I believe it's you, Jesse, or Erica, one of the other two. And then it would go to our administrator for final approval. So that's currently the process for an amendment. But for reimbursements, it's going straight to the grant management team for their review.
And then Mariella and Jesse, I believe, have provided a list of eligible and ineligible activities that for this specific program. And then if it's not on the list and they have questions, they will reach out to Mariella and Jesse for clarification.
And those were part of the original grant application, but I can also put them in the folder as well. I know that was over a year ago that you've looked at that. So just to keep that top of mind, I'll make a note to do that.
And then if you do have any questions on reimbursements, we recommend reaching out to that nde.bgmhealth@nebraska.gov. Someone from the grant management payment section is reviewing those, and it would get assigned to them and they'll reach out to you and hopefully answer it.
If not, email me and then I can go poke at them.
And I will say with payments, just lately, and I know that you guys in GMS have a bit of a different process, but they are definitely within that 30-day window that we're getting turnaround time to the payments I've made. So that's good. And then I think, yeah, this slide is just in here for kind of to determine who then to ask your questions of. So, and then Rebecca, what's the turnaround also for like how long does it take for them to get back to you when you send it to the help desk email?
So the nde.gms data is a help desk of one person, of me.
Oh, you're so lucky.
Whereas the BGM help desk is a help desk team of 5 people. So if it's a slow week, usually same day. If it's a busy week, usually within a week, I will get back to you or less. But I try to make sure that is moving, especially if you're having error messages. If it is something super complicated where you have found a major bug, I then have to reach out to our developer, and sometimes that takes even longer. But I haven't seen any major bugs lately from your team or from other applications submitting amendments. So I'm thinking we're good. I'm going to knock on wood. But you guys are always surprising me.
Yeah, and sometimes not good, right? All right, perfect. So yeah. And yeah, anybody have any questions on GMS or just the fun of the whole system, the GMS system? Anybody having any particular challenges or have new staff or anything that you need assistance with? Yeah, you can reach out to one of those emails and get a little bit more support as staff transition, at the end of the school year and retire and all that good stuff. So, or as you get into your reimbursement requests. Any questions for Rebecca or Mariella on any of that? I know many of you have been through it many times, but when you only do something once a year, it gets a little fuzzy sometimes, or at least for me it does. So. And then really my only other ask of y'all is just make sure that you this would be really to help support those, like the district level snapshots that the NDE is going to help support. If you can collect photos, and I will show you in a second where I have those. There's a folder for you to submit them, and also then like in the notes of this slide, I will put the link here, but that's our call information. So here's the stories, the photos that we can then link for your snapshot. But so I will put that upload photos here for y'all to be able to do that and share those. And as far as photo release things go, we defer to whatever you have for the district. So that's what we're counting on you to provide photos of students that we know can be photographed within your programs. So we're not going to ask you you don't have to upload necessarily all of that stuff. Just we defer again to your stuff. Any questions on the local snapshot, or we'll hopefully, the goal would be to include 2 to 3 pictures in each snapshot, and then kind of your most relevant or notable data from your site, and as well as the number of students you reached. And then we'll run it past you because we want to be able to like have 3 or 4 bullet points of things you're accomplishing, and we want to make sure what's in there is what you want highlighted for your project. It's just a 1-pager, but we want it to be representative of the project that you were able to accomplish actually versus the one that you envisioned when you started all this. So any questions on pictures or the snapshot? Again, that's really hopefully a tool you can use then to advocate for your program and just to make your job a little easier to take to the board, etc. So through our office, we have a variety of funding at times. And so we have a team nutrition grant that will be supporting a variety of farm to school activities. So in the fall, we'll have an opportunity for after school programs as well as during the school day to have help us expand our farm to school with some taste testing using our Harvest of the Month resources. We're trying to implement Harvest of the Month into Walk to Unlock. So we want some schools to test that out. And then if you have middle or high school students in your programs, we have a beanstalk curriculum that's primarily focused on beans and plant-based proteins and agriculture and science. And it's a very STEM focused, really STEAM, because we even have some art standards alignment in there too. That could definitely be something you could do in either after school or summer as well. And then, so we work with the Center for Families Learning, and they oftentimes have some different funding available. So we will be sharing out those opportunities as we develop more of those opportunities, or different programs that they have. And they're, I think, still also waiting on sort of the K-12 simplified funding budget that the administration has proposed. And so we're all going to wait on that. A lot of the things that we're talking about have either flat funding or will continue to be funding, but at what level, remains to be seen. So we're still kind of waiting on some of that. But the goal of the family community engagement opportunity would hopefully be able to help you, for those of you that are working to support your Title I family engagement requirement. This would be helping you do something you already have to do, maybe in a little bit a booster capacity, where you're able to do a little bit more than what your current funding allows for. So what additional questions do you have about anything that we talked about, or did we miss anything? The floor is open to y'all. I'm going to check the chat. I don't see anything.
I had a
Matt,
question,
yay.
Jesse.
Hey.
Is there a year one, like a report that's gonna be due?
Yes. So it'll just be a simple 1-pager. So your reach I just need to look and see what Jolene has. I know she had you do some things at the end of your, or yeah, on the data that they collect. We just need to see what that looks like. It sounds like she wasn't sure quite on what that looked like. And so we don't want to duplicate. So we just need to double check what she already collected. And then if there is a different, well, we'll collect the other narrative, just a one pager on your accomplishments, your challenges, and then your plan for year 2. So it'll just be a one pager, but we did not have that ready. We'll send that out just at the end of June, along with a reminder to make sure you're submitting your reimbursements for your year 1 expenses. So good question. Thank you,
Okay.
Mark. Anyone else?
I just wanted someone to ask the question on variances. We currently have the variances set up in GMS as the maximum percent of object code variance from budget set at 25%, and the maximum amount of object code variance from budget as $2,500. So that's currently what's in the system.
So you're saying it's 2,500?
And 25%.
Ah, 25
Yeah.
and 25. Okay, I'm gonna definitely add
There's
that.
there's two thresholds there.
All right. Because it's not confusing, but
Oh,
good to
it's
know,
fun,
right?
Jesse.
Oh, yeah. And again, these are federal rules, so we just are, yeah. Allowable variance. All right. So that'll be in the slides. I'll add that. So we have that in there. And last opportunity, does anybody have any questions? We can,
Jesse, I asked in the chat, when
Oh.
was that one pager going to be due? I heard you say you were going to send it out at the end of June.
yeah. I don't know. What do y'all think's reasonable? I know some of you are gone in all of July.
I feel like in the past it's been like August 15th or September or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I feel like, yeah, I worked in a school. The beginning of the year was very, very stressful and hard. So yeah, we can do like September 1st. That way, if you have a minute to catch your breath. Yeah, I know sometimes it's easier to get it done right away, but also I understand that many of you will be not, you won't be at your computers anymore. If we can get it done sooner, we will try, but this is the big PD time for those of us at the NDE that work with that. And so I'm not at my desk very often right now. And yeah, so I mean, if we can have it out by like the 20th, I'll still leave it open till September 1st. Those were not reports that I could find in all the files that were left, so I wasn't quite sure on the due date and what's feasible.
I'm sure we have copies of it if you want me to send you one, Jesse.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then if you have new staff that you need added to any of the ELO or CCLC folders, please let us know. I know those are sometimes that gets frustrating because they're only shared with particular people's emails, and when they leave, then that limits the number of people that can get into those. I'm not going to have you put reports into that. I'm going to just have you email them to me because there's not that many of y'all, but for in the past, I know you've put them up there in other places. So if you can't get to something that you knew you once could, just let us know and we can always add a new email to past ELO project folders as well. Well, if there are no other questions, we'll hang out for the next 10 minutes, but otherwise you can have 10 minutes back to your day. So thank you so much for joining and have a great rest of your summer. And I will send out notes and a link to the recording for anybody in your organization that would like to watch it but couldn't be here today. So thank you.